It's the minis from the Miniature Man. Well, I've got sci-fi, historic, and fantasy. And an alternate history that you have got to see. And I can tell you want to paint with the Miniature Man. I can tell you want to paint with the Miniature Man. I can tell you want to paint with the Miniature Man. Hey all. Today we're covering some minis. One-page rules to be exact. Now I'm going to quickly go over the criteria that we're going to be using. If you don't care about that, just skip to the next section and we'll get into the sculpts and customization. There are some slightly different criteria based on whether or not I bought them off the shelf or if I've 3D printed them like I have with these guys here. Let's get into the criterias. So my first criteria is sculpts and customization. So these are how good the sculpts are and what level of customization they offer. Are they simple? Are they complex? Are they too much of either? Customization is how much wiggle room you get out of the box or on the printer slicer. The second criteria is quality or ease of print. Obviously these are how good the miniatures look, like what their quality is, how easy they go together, like be stuck together. And obviously for ease of print, it's how many failures you have when you're trying to print them, or how easy they are to get the supports off. So, the final criteria is how well or easy they are to paint. Do they have too many annoying parts? Do they have hard to reach places? Does the material take paint well? In 3D prints, this part is not going to be as crazy, because obviously resin and PLA both take paint pretty well. Also, we'll obviously be showcasing the miniatures as we go through the video, as well as terrain. I've got some here, yeah, miniatures and terrain, so, and of course vehicles. Well, of course vehicles. Now, lucky for us, OPR does do pretty much everything across the board. They do vehicles, terrain, or vehicles, terrain, miniatures. But they also do objective markers, dice, and rulers for their factions, which is really cool. The current factions that you can get in one-page rules is quite a lot, so I'll just put a list up. Yeah, pop up right now. There are many factions, both Grimdark and Age of Fantasy. They even have the warships for the Warfleets game, and a range of heroes for the Quest variant as well. I've mostly got Grimdark, but I do have a few fantasy miniatures printed. I may end up doing a video where we do each individual faction range, depending on how good things go, but this is just an overview of the particular range. OPR with its factions also don't just copy Warhammer, because that's where it kind of started, but they also have some specialty factions, like they've got Saurian Starhost, they've got Eternal Dynasty, which are kind of like a Japanese-themed Tau, basically. And yeah, they do have some that are pretty similar to Warhammer, but you know, you sort of take each one as it goes. So One Page Rules has some pretty great sculpts. I mean, they've got a lot of options. I find they strike a nice balance between high detail, but not overloading the miniature with unnecessary details either. So some companies I find go overboard with bags and pouches, ammo, grenades, all that kind of stuff, and it just makes painting the mini a bit of a pain, to be completely honest. You know, because you got to be swapping paints, you got to put extra colors on the propellant. But I found with OPR, you got just enough where the minis look cool, without looking like they're going on a solo camping weekend. I just hope that those minis remember to stay away from any pickup trucks in the outback. I also like the fact that these minis tend to have chunkier details. That's not to say that they're low detail, it just means that the areas are easy to paint, but they still look nice when things are added to them. So as you can see, he's got nice chunky armor, nice chunky details, and even on our more svelte miniatures, you can see he's got a good detail area. So I just think that stuff's really good. Now, I've talked about a bunch of good things with OPR. I like the sculpts, I like the positions that people end up in. So what's the problem? Like, I guess some people out there will be like, wow, you're a real shill for OPR. OPR. Just saying. However, they do fall short in one area, and that's customization. Not so much for weapons. They have a very good amount of weapons to choose from for each guy, which is great. The issue is poses. Pretty much how it rolls down to it is that each miniature has like a sort of unique sort of middle pose, but they tend to have heads, bodies, and legs already pre-connected, and then so you only really get arms or hands, depending on the miniature, to customize with, because some of them have their half arms already in place. If we take the Dwarf Lord, for example, which I love the look of, he's great, but he has the same pose regardless of which one you print, and the only thing that changes are these weapons. It's just these hands. So you can rotate the hands in whatever position you like, but at the end of the day, this is how the Dwarf Lord will end up standing, regardless if it's female, male, or helmeted. So, that being said, if you are skilled with Blender or hobby supplies, they are actually pretty straightforward to customize, which is great. Basically, I made this Flint Rustbeard miniature from, if you haven't seen the video, my my Grimdark Future review. I was a character called Flint Rustbeard, and this guy, basically, I chopped up a bit in a Blender style program, and a bit of Milliput for the helmet, and then I just stuck all this stuff to him. So I think he came out looking pretty good. Not too shabby, considering I'm garbage at sculpting. Now, if you don't care about customization, then you're probably fine, because you still get a lot of weapon options. Personally, I'm fine with the regular grunts not really having much customization, but I'd like to see the characters in one-page rules get some big customization options, like our Dwarf Lord here. You know, different body poses, maybe having legs, body, head, arms, and weapons all on different prints. So that means you could sort of print a very customized looking miniature, obviously. Now, terrain. So, One Page Rules has some pretty cool terrain. We have some generic kind of buildings, like destroyed buildings, stuff like that. We have some, desert terrain. So they have some generic stuff where they have, like desert and destroyed buildings and, jungle areas and stuff like that. And the cool thing about those terrain pieces is that they're semi-modular. Some of them can be stuck together to make like platforms and stuff like that. So that's really cool. But they also have really cool faction terrain. So they have some Eternal Dynasty buildings, jackal hunts, and I even printed this really cool Sisters Fountain. So that's a pretty nifty piece of terrain. I'm looking forward to getting that on the table. And they also have tons of sizes, from small to even tiny with objective markers. And we got medium, large, and then we've got these sort of area bits of terrain. So I mean, these are pretty cool. I really don't have a downside with them. So that's always a fun thing, is that we got a lot of stuff. And then of course we have vehicles. They've got a lot of different vehicles, and bigger monsters, of course, because they do alien hives. So we've got like a really big, angry, like Carnifex style monster. I think I do have one around here. If I find him, I'll shoot a picture up. But yeah, so, and they even have some really like colossal miniatures. So, which I'll shoot up now. One of them is the Robot Legion's like monolith, basically. So that's a pretty cool mini. I haven't got around to printing that because it's huge. And also, I'm not even sure if I'd field one. The point cost would be insane. So yeah, that's the sculpting part. So let's get on to ease of print. I've printed a lot of miniatures, vehicles, and terrain from One Page Rules, and I'll say roughly 90% of them have succeeded, which is pretty damn good. And with the right settings, it's rare for a failure. I think it's due to the sort of more chunkier nature of the miniatures. It's even more svelte miniatures like our elves. They print really well. They don't take too long either, which is nice. They tend to print with good quality, even at faster speeds. As you can see with these ones, these are my Saurians. These are from my first ever printer. Which wasn't very good quality, but as you can see, he's come out pretty well. I mean, the paint helps too. A lick of paint does help make him look better. He does kind of look like he's been partially melted from being left out in the sun on a 40 degree day. That's Celsius, not freedom degrees either. And otherwise, he'd be half frozen. Overall, though, these are well designed for 3D printers, almost like they were specifically designed for that purpose. So as I said before, PLA takes paint pretty well. So does resin. Here's a resin mini that I painted for a comp, which I did not win, unsurprisingly. But as you can see, he took the paint very well. So yeah, as far as 3D printing materials go, the two straightforward ones, PLA and resin, they take paint pretty well. I have printed a couple things in PETG that also takes paint reasonably well. Of course, prime them beforehand, but otherwise you should be pretty fine. So really, how easy are these miniatures to paint? Because that's where we're sort of at. Like, do they have some annoying little bits and bobs or whatever? So it really depends on how you print them. If you print them in parts and paint them in parts, you are going to be fine 99% of the time. Due to some of the miniatures, though, having some limited poses, some which print in one piece, sometimes does mean gaps are a little hard to reach into, like the underside of this guy, for example, this lizard. In my opinion, if no one can see it at the table, it's not a comp, then that part is going to get a slap of paint and called a day. So I would be a pretty shit reviewer, though, if I didn't mention that the chunky details and the small amount of extras that are on the minis means you don't have to have 30 or 40 different paint colors on your palette. Unless you want to do that, I guess you could paint them like a rainbow paddle pop if you wanted to. But I prefer to stick to 5 or 6 colors per mini if possible, so that I can just sort of control. I like sort of sharp color changes, kind of like this guy, you know, like we've got some nice little like sharp color changes on his miniature, or my Wood Elf Archer. I just like not overloading too much color unless that's sort of the purpose. Like, for example, this is my Lady Vamps miniature. As you can see, I did her bird multicolored, which I think actually stands out really nicely because of the paleness of the vampire. So okay, that's all she wrote. OPR makes some great stuff and has a rather impressive range of miniatures that is still growing. Each month new miniatures are added, new terrain is popping up as well. The detail level is good but not too complicated, which makes painting them super fun. The downside is, of course, customization, but if you're skilled enough either on the physical or digital side of sculpting, you can probably get a pretty nice base to work with for custom miniatures. Anyway, that's all for me on this one. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're enjoying the content, drop a like and or subscribe, just to let me know that I'm doing a decent job. We've got some more game reviews incoming. The next two will be Silver Bayonet and probably Mantic's Firefight. So yeah, and I'll keep you up to date with shorts and all that kind of stuff. So you all have a good one, and I'll catch you next time. See yous.